It is the perennial question for the ages. Does size matter? Now, there are two trains of thought with this. One is small and perfectly formed, the other is bigger, is better. We, of course, all love an underdog story, don't we? Whether it's David versus Goliath, that Philistine giant, he was a Philistine like me, or Rocky Balboa taking on Ivan Drago. But as the old woman who swallowed a fly will tell you, economies of scale can very, very quickly get out of hand. So, why am I blathering on about size? Well, it's because I went through the British Airways Lounge in Dubai Airport and it got me thinking. It got me thinking. I've done a few different reviews of lounges and I think, what does make a good lounge? What makes a bad lounge? And it dawned on me how important size can be to either making the lounge feel very exclusive and premium or making it feel absolutely atrocious. Some of my favourite lounges were the small lounges. I really do like the British Airways First Lounge in Gatwick Airport and Cathay Pacific's First Lounge in Heathrow Terminal 3. Both really enjoy those facilities. Great lounges. Enjoy them if you can. On the flip side, some of my worst experiences. I'm looking at you, Phoenix Airport, American Airlines Phoenix Airport, and the Cancun Airport, which was actually almost. It could have even been a situation comedy episode. It was that bad. Those were both tiny as well. So it could be the best of times or it could be the worst of times, as Charlie Dickens once wrote in a book somewhere. And that is a strangely apt reflection on the British Airways Lounge in Dubai Airport. It is one of my favourite lounges in terms of I like the decor, the ambience, and various other aspects of it, which we'll get into. However, there's a huge problem, and it's a small problem. It's the size alongside the children. Those annoying children. Now, Dubai is an amazing place to go on holiday. You're guaranteed sunshine. It's very safe. It's very clean. It's very family friendly. So, of course, that means there is a lot of families that go there, and that's absolutely fine. Of course, if you're traveling as a couple, certainly if you're an older couple who don't have any children, that means there can be quite a lot of them around. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being a grump. I'm not being a grump. I love kids. I love kids. But a few of them can be annoying. So, my little preamble to my review of both the lounge in Dubai, British Airways Lounge, and a little bit on our flight back, because it was certainly one of the weirdest ones, most eventful ones I've had in a while. I would give you that context before launching into my review. This holiday was our first ever all inclusive jaunt to Dubai. You can check out the review here on our Doubletree by Hilton on Marjan Island. In that video, as I allude to, that the pickup time was ridiculously early. It was shared shuttle transfer, so we ended up rocking up to the airport over 3.5 hours before the flight. And of course, the desk wasn't open, so we ended up with a lot of other passengers meandering around, standing around, waiting for that 40 minutes or so for the desk to open. Let us on, let us on. And there were some pretty stressed out people there, I can tell you. But how better to release the stress than forming a queue, an orderly queue in each of the cabins? A queue was formed while we patiently waited. Obviously, with families as well, they tend to have a ton of luggage, so it took a little bit of time to process. Because how do people take so much luggage? Travel light, travel light. But yeah, I think 5, 6, 7 bags. But eventually, we'll finally get processed, get your ticket, and then head through security. Dubai utilizes e-gates, which was super smooth coming over because there was no queue. Just Hit down the passport, straight through, no problem. There was more of a queue coming back, which I guess makes sense as they got to do security. So it took a little bit longer than anticipated to get through. No biggie, not the end of the world. Just would have been, it would have been good to always have that slightly quicker, easier experience. No fast track security either available for us gold members. So we had to stand in the lines with the normal people. It's worth mentioning that Dubai is a very good airport. It has obviously all the amenities you need, restaurants, shops, and the like. It's a big airport, so there is plenty of space. So if you are having a stopover here, or perhaps like us, get brought here too early for the flight, don't worry. There's things to while away the hours. But of course, we have status with British Airways Club, which means we're going to head to the lounges. I have been through Dubai Airport a few times now, the last two times with status. The first time was when I was a silver member, when I was traveling through work, and I rocked up to the BA lounge and they said, "No, you're not coming in. You can go to the Maraba lounge, which is opposite." The Maraba Lounge is not a bespoke BA lounge. It is, I think, one of those ones where you pay to get access to. So the standards aren't usually as high, I'm going to say. Maybe that's a bit unfair, but certainly compared to the bespoke lounges I've been in, this one wasn't really the best. The food was okay. I had a glass of wine and it wasn't particularly nice there. So I mean, it's fine if you can find a space. It got quite busy. I recall that. We'll come on to busyness a little bit later. But hey, look, it was the only option at the time. The second time I came to, I was gold. Yes, my artificially attained gold membership through double tier points. This was towards the end of the COVID era, so it was all QR codes and social distancing. So I'm saying if you're a silver member, there is a chance you're going to get bumped down, and there is a very good reason for that. Is because this is a small lounge. It's a good lounge. It's a small lounge, and it gets packed. Anyway, so you head up the escalators, you turn left. There's the other lounge on the right there, and we head into the BA lounge in Dubai Airport. This lounge is divided into four sections. We'll come to the four sections. So you have a seating area to the left as you walk in. There's the dining area in the middle with the various food and drink options. And then there's another place to the right of that where you can sit down and relax. Now, it may look like there's ample seating space for people. Don't be fooled. Make sure you get there early and bag a spot and stick in that spot because the amount of people that come through here, I don't know whether it's because it's families or not, but you'll see it goes from quite quiet to ridiculously heaving within a few minutes. The best seats are probably these three lounger kind of recliners on the left hand side. Very comfortable, and you're not going to get too much traffic through there. However, rather stupidly, we got there before everybody else, before everyone else who to check in. Got there when it's empty, bagged these seats while it was still empty, then moved around to get some food, and then boom, the coach party or the plane party came in, and these were soon snapped up, and we were sat on one of the tall tables like plebs. This lounge had some really great features. The food was of a high standard. There wasn't much of it, but what there was very nice and very appealing looking sandwiches, the usual British Airways breakfast buffet, but a good spread of food and enough to keep you ticking along before your flight. Although the food station is very compact, so if you got more than maybe five or six people in there, it's going to get a little bit tight and potentially claustrophobic. So yes, just make sure it's empty or partially empty when you go there, because otherwise there's going to be a bit of a queue. Which also applies to the coffee machine, as there's just one of them. In terms of beverages, it is the usual array of British Airways beers, spirits, wine, soft drinks. You know the drill. You know exactly what you're going to get. You do not get, however, a water fountain here. It's all just plastic bottles. So you can fill up your water flask knowing that you're annoying Greta Thunberg. What happened to Greta Thunberg? Well, no idea. No idea. A few other points to mention is the toilets were pristine and some of the nicest I've been into. So well done, BA, on that side of things. I think some of the ones that can get a little, certainly in Heathrow, can get a little bit underwhelming. The attention to details, I love the attention to details in this room. The lights were very well designed. So it was super, it was very elegant. It had a very nice vibe to it. Now, the fourth section I told you about was called the bar. I saw people coming out of here and just assumed it was part of the lounge. It's not, is it? It's not. I didn't read the sign. This is the bespoke area for first class customers, and I clearly wasn't a first class customer. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought it was an adults only space or something bizarre, but it was my my mistake. But this looked amazing. It looks really peaceful, really quiet, really well designed, super great. Yeah, unfortunately, it's for first class passengers, so we just went and sat down, and a very nice lady came along and said, "Excuse me, are you flying first class?" She knew the answer. She knew the answer. So we did the walk of shame. So that was a get out of my lounge. So we sat back down in the main lounge, and this is where the lounge takes a tumble all the way down. God, it got absolutely heaving. There was a plethora of families in here, and they just took the whole place over, really. So the nice, tranquil lounge we walked into suddenly became a bit of a crash. So we actually ended up just walking out and going to sit at the gate. Overall, I thought this was one of BA's best lounges, certainly that I've experienced. The issue with it being so small is that that's the thing that gets you, really. If it was bigger and maybe designed a different way, this could be easily up there amongst the top echelon of lounges. I did read that think they may be reconfiguring it, so let's see how it goes. But definitely get there early, bag your seat, and don't move from that seat, and you should hopefully have a good time. A few other fun things that happened on the way back. The boarding gate had a bespoke section, I should say, for group 1 and 2 passengers. So that was sort of cordoned off. It transpired it didn't matter because everyone just pre boarded with their children. I thought children had to be young children, not frigging teenagers. But yeah, we turned around when boarding was called and we were the only ones sat in group 1 and 2. But at least in theory, that is a good idea. Of course, that meant there was a backlog of passengers trying to get on the plane, so we shuffled slowly on to boarding. This was an incident packed flight, so I'll quickly run down some of the amusing things that happened. First ever experience with a seat squatter. That's right, I'd just popped a toilet after I'd got on the plane and was coming back, and there was a man going to sit into my seat. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I think I was like 17A. So, oh, this is my seat. It's like, no, what's your ticket? 16E? No, you're in the middle there, mate. Nice try, nice try. Not sure if anyone else has experienced the seat squatter phenomenon. This is where someone will just go and sit in your seat, irrespective of whether you've reserved it or whatever. But I sent him packing. He's not going to do that again. Actually, he probably will try. But yeah, make sure that someone doesn't steal your seat because that would be really annoying. Next up was the curious case of the disappearing Easter menu. Yes, in addition to the standard menu, the lovely cabin crew came around and gave us these bespoke, special Easter feasts we could enjoy. So I think all of, certainly all of the premium economy, and I believe business, even maybe even economy got them. And then the announcement comes up, yeah, we've kind of given you the menu, but we actually don't have any of the food. So that was a little bit of a clanger. Next up is Bizarro World 1. I've never seen this before, so please let me know if you've experienced this odd, weird behavior. So we ended up waiting best part of 45 minutes before taxiing out and then took off. My bladder isn't what it used to be, so after takeoff and the seatbelt signs went on, I got up and go to the toilet. Someone was already in there, and this chap comes along, says, "Excuse me, just 1 second," as I'm standing outside the toilet, pulls down the chair that the cabin crew sit in, and just sits there. He sat there for the whole flight. I would have thought there are specific health and safety rules that people are allowed to do that, but the cabin crew clearly didn't challenge him or move him. It's just weird. I mean, first of all, the chair doesn't recline. Yeah, you might technically have some legroom, but you sat right by the toilet, and you can't eat anything. You got no TV. You've obviously got your back. Oh, just absolute. Oh, it's in. Ugh, I am lost for words. But yeah, make sure people don't start doing this. Surely this isn't going to become a thing, but rather than spending a few £100 or whatever to reserve those seats at the front, you're just going to go and sit in the cabin crew section. Just unbelievable. Not having to go at the staff, they're always brilliant, absolutely fantastic, especially when they bring you some champagne as a gold member when you sat in premium economy. Thank you all. Final thing, which was statistically impossible, it was that there was obviously it was like a crash on the plane as well. We had children everywhere. There were two sat in front of us, and one I don't know, a girl about 7 or so, boy a couple of years older. She, after feeding her face on crisps and chocolate and sweets, they then bring out a full adult meal, and she manages to knock it over, and it's all down the side of the seat. Very unpleasant. Oh, the poor cleaners having to do all that stuff. And amazingly, within 2 minutes, her brother had also knocked over his entire plate of food into the aisle. And this tapped into a wider theme. God, the state of the plane when we left it, it was like a pigsty, absolutely horrible. Just trash everywhere, food, Pringles cans. Oh, it's terrible. So you have my sympathy, all the cabin crew and the cleaners. You have patience of a saint in dealing with these things. Anyway, I realise I may have come across like a miserable old fart, miserable old git, grr, Victor Meldrew, yeah, brr. But no, it's it is what it is, and obviously families got to have holidays and all that sort of stuff. But trying to be a bit more mindful of the passengers, of staff, and of the impact of these things would be a nice gesture.